Okay, we're going live with this. The first thing I want you to think about and take into account, I'm risking my life. I'm going to sacrifice my life. Trust me, when this information gets to the right person, right, they're going to come and get me and they will kill me for this. I will die for this, okay? It's just a matter of time. I'm going to sacrifice my life and you're going to learn about it. You're going to know. That's why this video here, and if there's a part 2 or 3, you've got to really focus on every word that I have to deliver here. No matter who you are, where you come from, or what you believe in. I can guarantee you, I am the only person in the world that's going to deliver this information, right? You have to have faith in me. At least to listen to what I have to say, considering I'm sacrificing my life here and I'm going to die for this. I can guarantee you this. I will get executed for this. Okay? I know my destiny. I know my future and I'm prepared for it. See, there's something most of you are not aware of. Most of you have been following me here. And that's why this is going to put every piece together so dramatically, it's going to blow people's minds away, and most people, it's going to go straight into brain lock denial and can't deal with it. And I'm warning you, it's not for the faint-hearted. Because what am I going to expose here is one of the most dramatic exposures in human history about mRNA, messenger RNA, registered and patented as an electronic magnetic device on every single document. You can research every single thing I'm going to deliver to you with all this information, and you need to pay undivided attention to every single word and put every piece together, because if you don't, you're going to get this wrong. There isn't a scientist or professor in the world that knows this. Okay? Listen carefully. There isn't one scientist or professor in the world or any biologist that knows this. Trust me. Have faith in what I'm about to say. This video has to go viral to every resource possible with all the information, and people must think instinctively and not mentally, not psychologically with a high IQ, because it only makes you good at what you do, but in fact not intelligent. When you think instinctively, you're highly intelligent. That's the first bit of information you need to understand. We're stripped from this. We think mentally with a high IQ and come to all our conclusions with reasoning, designed to reverse psychology. That's the first thing the world needs to wake up to. I know it's really hard to take on board, but if you can't master your mind, then who's mastering your mind and controlling your mind with the voices in your mind? When you convey feelings to thoughts and you think you're talking to yourself, with an outside influence on your reality, that's not realistic. It's unnatural thinking. So the voices come into your mind and control you all the time. Now that's hardcore, but it's all done through the same strategy, electronic magnetic device that you conduct with. Now, this is very confronting information, and it's not for the faint-hearted, I can guarantee you that. But someone has to expose the truth all over the world with exactly what's going on in the world today. Now, the first thing that's really difficult to take on board is you must see 2 different things here. Okay? You must focus on the truth in the middle, not living your truth or your truth, because the truth's in the middle. No far left, no far right. Listen to me very carefully. There's good and evil involved in this. You can see this for the evil that's unfolding, and you can see this for the good that's unfolding as well. That's why you need to focus on both. Now, I know this is hard, But I'm going to give you the tools to get out of this. I'm going to give you the information that no one on earth is giving you to get out of this situation. So the information I'm going to come with is very dramatic, but I have the solution as well that no one in the world is telling you. Hidden knowledge. Very top secret knowledge. How to master your mind and think instinctively and think outside the mind. Now, that might be hardcore for you to understand because you may never heard that phrase before. So I'm going to go through some very dramatic information, okay, that you need to take on board. No matter who you are. You can research every single bit of information that I'm going to give you. You can research every single thing and find the truth out with all the information I'm going to give you. There is scientific knowledge and evidence to back up every single word that's coming out of my mouth. When you put every piece together, or some top person who's intelligent enough to research these things and put them together, they're going to discover that what I'm telling you is a truth that no one in the world knows. So listen very carefully. A lot of people take me as a joke. And believe me, this is one time you don't want to take me as a joke. Right? You want to sit down and think and revise your perception the way you think and judge. Mentally, psychologically, to be competitive. Because that's the tools you're designed to use to debunk, discredit, and to divide. Right? And have no doubt. Have nothing but doubt. And doubt everything I say because you're designed to do that, to be competitive and to think too much on reverse psychology and negative fears with 5 senses. And it's negativity. And negativity creates all this disturbance in your mind. Those who think instinctively don't have voices in their mind. So they don't think critically with a high IQ because they don't need to. They have an outside influence of reality that's 7 times more powerful. Bruce Lee could master his mind, move 7 times faster than any human being on earth could think by the time he's 24. And no one in the world has been a mastermind like that before. Or ever since. But there are people that are that instinctive that can move 7 times faster than any human being on earth can think. I'm recorded by the biggest think tank in the world as being the most powerful mastermind on earth. Pay attention. I could outsmart maneuver anything they used and any tool they wanted to use. I became the most compromising situation ever dealt with. That's why you need to pay attention. Right? I don't think like you, I think instinctively. And have an outside influence on my reality that's 7 times more powerful than yours. Okay? Dimensional thinking. Okay, in such a way, I can do things that no one else can, record it on their documents. Okay, on an RSVP list, Research Succeed Reach Perfection, the masterminds in this world, on their documents. So pay attention to their documents, not mine. Now, it's very important you understand this. An electronic magnetic device is proven to be graphene oxide. Graphene oxide comes from iodine crystals. It makes graphene oxide, iodine graphene oxide hydroxide gel in the very experiment registered as an electronic magnetic device. The secretion conducts. It's a conductor. It's messenger. It conducts to an electronic magnetic device with an outside influence from a parallel world in a different dimension. Whether you believe it or not, it's negativity and positivity. 2 outside influences, good and evil, however you choose to look at it. Okay? But you decide the mindset you're in. Those that think instinctively will tune out of the program is what they said in the Matrix documentary made by the military, the same department that registered the experiment. So get a grip of that. Because I'm about to give you information that's really dramatic. This is hardcore shit. Right? And so dramatic you've got no idea. Let's take a look at something. We have a spike protein that's been going on for 3.5 years and both things has been unfolding. That spike protein has caused the bacteria to collapse all over the world in all defective genes. Now that's going to escalate because most people in the world have 7,000 defective genes in their DNA. The immune system collapsing. It has been for a long time. That's the bacteria in your stomach that's going from billions down to zero all over the world, on documents everywhere. You can research, you can go and research this and find this out yourself. Gene defects are collapsing all over the world and accelerating 7 times faster, recording on top documents in the world. German gives a top policy said that 93% is beyond the point of return. Beyond the point of return, that means they can't think instinctively anymore. They can only think mentally, in 5 sense and negative fields. And they need drugs to numb themselves or an electronic magnetic device from a drug delivery system. A drug delivery system they call graphene oxide, that's in methamphetamine, ADHD medication, every mental disorder tablet, placebo effect tablets, Lyrica, and many other products such as zinc, iron, magnesium, vitamin C, D, B12, and many other delivery systems. Which means we cannot conduct without that electronic magnetic device in drug delivery systems, which is the same product. The same product in methamphetamine, first registered bioweapon in 1895. They used this drug on the evil people that was thinking psychologically and mental, and they created the kamikaze, the greatest suicide squad in the world, in human history, that was willing to take their life and take yours at the same time to do so. Willing to take their own life to take yours. Hitler created MBK, methylbenzoketone, superhuman abilities, and used the same tools with his army. The military's been using it ever since. In 1945, they brought out a happy pill because people couldn't cope in life, because they designed reverse psychology and stripped from their 6th sense on a document in 1921 by the Rockefellers. The faith document, to strip you from your 6th sense to think instinctively. They deem you to be dangerous and said it's an old ancestry savage tool, and you must come to conclusion with reason with a higher IQ. Okay? That's what you have to understand. Your real mind is your heart with 40,000 cells that control your whole biological system to think instinctively, to think outside your mind. Your natural organic motor skills. So you are stripped from that to use a high IQ with 5 sense and negative fields. And that's what you do 99% of the time. You consume all the wrong products and you entertain yourself. And you're not human anymore, no longer productive. Classified in post-human states because of this. Now that's recorded in 1999 that you're stripped from your 6th sense in post-human stage. The primary problem for climate, you can't think straight anymore. Mental disorders and gene defects flying through the roof. Heart attacks, blood clot, myocarditis, cancer. Gene defects the most. That you saw with Bill Gates at the depopulation plan in 2015 when he exposed this. They must stop defective genes. Must stop the defective genes with certain implements they're implementing in today with mRNA technology. They tell you that right in front of your face in 2015. So, when you're not living in the truth, you're not aware of it neither, that the electronic magnetic device is to change the power from your cortex and the way that you think all the time, mentally and psychologically. Because that was created a long time ago, 300 years ago in reverse psychology, with an evolution theory that's self-explanatory, and to come to your own conclusion with reasoning is to believe in your own truth in your own little comfort zone. That's what it is. It makes you believe in your own truth and conquer and divide every day of your life, and that's what you do the most and the best. You have no faith in no one but yourself. To be competitive, to be selfish and egotistical and consume too much. On a marketing strategy, so you're stuck in a reincarnation trap and don't know who you are, can't wake up. You have been for a long time. It's recorded with evidence. It's written in biblical history. Osiris, resurrected from Nimrod. They've been using those tools in every empire. Right up till now. You know who you know. The person who holds up the book of statistics and manipulates the most. Bill Gates. Okay, the same book they revised from the Law and Order documents with the Chaos book. The same book from Babylon. How to manipulate the population with the same tools. So let's take a look at methamphetamine, because methamphetamine is graphene oxide, isn't it? It comes from iodine crystals. And let's have a look at the iodine crystals in methamphetamine and ADHD medication and all these products. Because it's an electronic magnetic device. It was made from magic potions from the days of Nimrod. They used it as a conducting agency. To go to parallel worlds in different dimensions so the voice of the mind could control them. They had to design people in reverse psychology to be mental first, so the voice came into the mind so they could conduct. So they used graphene oxide with the high towers for power, light and energy to enter parallel worlds in different dimensions. That's what the CERN machine's all about. That's what the CERN machine's all about. Where they open up a portal to another dimension with a personality, which you be at the front of power, creation, destruction. Now it's hardcore. But you know, they use those tools with a different method. That's how you know. So the Tower of Babel was designed right? Like Tesla's towers for power with a conduction agency. So the voice comes in your mind, reverse psychology. They used that in Babylon. And people became godless and moral creatures all over the earth and started all sorts of agendas, becoming gay, right? Sexual agendas, child sex offenders, and all those societies. That's what happened then. If people were molded into this for 300 to 400 years. It took 340 years to create this, to strip them from their sixth sense and to conduct to the voice in the mind where they went mental. Godless and moral creatures all over the earth through conductions with electronic magnetic device, mRNA technology, methamphetamine, magic potions written in the Bible. Solomon used magic potions, the power of Solomon. Many things ripped out from the Bible for this very reason. That's why this is very compromising. Now it's important you listen very carefully. Very dramatically careful. Hitler created a happy pill because people couldn't cope in life by 1945. A happy pill that went all over the world, and the Western civilization used to take the happy pill with the same electronic magnetic device. Because from 0 to 7 you create an accretion called adrenochrome, and in your adrenochrome you create a conduction, right? In your serotonin, right? With the right balance, you create graphene oxide serum to conduct with, naturally and organically from 0 to 7. When you're in your primal state to think instinctively, and you can mastermind a computer game between 3 and 7 times faster than now can, you're pumped with adrenaline to be alert alike when we're in your primal state. Now you're using your gut feeling survival mode, the chakra, which activates later the shiver in your spine, where your body cells are on fire to be alert, alive, waking aware with an outside influence of reality. The light bulb idea. You don't have to think critically. The light bulb idea, right? With the outside influence of reality, the picture tells you 1,000 words to guide you in life. That's why when you're only a child and you haven't been programmed to be an idiot yet, you can't be deceived. So when a stranger comes to the door when you're 3 years old and it's a bad person, you run to the corner and your parents get manipulated 10 seconds flat because they come to their conclusion with a high IQ. That's why they get manipulated. When a good person comes to the door, you run straight to that door with your dog and your parents turn and say, the dog's taking to you, I don't know why. Because they come to their conclusion with reasoning and can't feel this sixth sense, right? And they can't feel why and they don't know why and they get manipulated. So they become inverted where the voice in the mind tells them what to do all the time. And that's what happens in education when you're a little mastermind between 3 and 7. Right, you're pumped with adrenaline and you have no mental disorders, no confusion, no frustration whatsoever. But your parents do. But then you go to school and the first thing they tell you, oh, you got voice in your head, you must be talking to yourself. And then they convince you you're talking to yourself. And when they convince you you're talking to yourself, they make you think critically, they make you think with a high IQ, they make you think of reverse psychology with 5 cents and negative fears, so you think all the time. And then the voices come into your mind, and that's by design. And then you become brain dead stupid like your parents are by the time you're 24. These are facts. Then you have amnesia and don't know who you are, you don't know your moral motor skills, and you don't have faith in your own biological system. That's what creates atheism. And atheism actually believes in this so much with a high IQ. And they can only use some tools, right? Those tools that give them a personality, but completely stripped from their moral instincts to feel things between right, wrong, good, evil. And you come into the world with those feelings, with an outside influence in reality. But then they strip you from it, from having using that ability. Dimensional thing, that's why the world and everything else is in metaphor. People's got no concept of this whatsoever. Right? Because your outside influence is your reality. But your reality now has become literal and psychologically and mental with a high IQ. That's why you think the document's the evidence when it's not. That's the one I can manipulate the most with. But the picture with the outside influence can't manipulate to you. Only a mastermind knows that. But most people hate masterminds because they can't think this way. They can only use 7% of their mind at any given time. Einstein could only use 11. An atheist, I can use 100 on their documents. I'm a mastermind that can think 7 times more powerful than any IQ person in the world. Because I can move 7 times faster. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to work things out. I already know what the answer is. Because I can see the outside influence with my dimension. With 7-fold wisdom and knowledge that guide me in life. So now I'm going to tell you something. I was brought through this path for a reason. For this very moment. Right? And I'm going to be one of the most compromising situations on the planet for this reason. For this very reason. I think instinctively, in the Matrix movie, right, Keanu Reeves represents those that think instinctively they can tune out the program with the outside influence of reality, while everyone else is like a robot to use those tools. That's what you got to wake up to. They tell you right in front of your face and laugh at you at the same time. That's what Satan does. So listen to me carefully. This is what you got to get through your thick skull. Nanotechnology, mRNA, methamphetamine, magic potions. In the days of Nimrod, they used graphene oxide gold to conduct with. That's used in Lyrica. It's also used to create hybrids, to conduct with. So an entity can come inside the hybrid from another dimension and another parallel world. Do you understand what I'm saying here? So you can't create a hybrid clone without graphene oxide. Go and Google this and check it yourself. Read the documents. So you can't create a life or a form of life without that conduction. So your conduction from 0 to 7 that you create perfectly when you compare your genes down your immune system because you think instinctively and your body cells work perfect together. Let me tell you something. Take a plate of water, 2 plates of water, talk very nasty to one, beautiful to the other, put them in the freezer at night, pull them out in the morning, and you'll understand what your body cells look like. Because your body cells look like the plate you talk ugly to. Because you've got no connection to water whatsoever with any positive feels to think with instinctively with love and compassion, loyalty, honor, respect, moral, inspiration, and encouragement. But that's your primal state. When you use it and have a connection with water, you're 75% water, and that's your body cells control your mind and your heart, and controls your whole biological system, and 93% of your DNA is water. Right? So how disconnected are you from water? You don't have a relationship with water, do you? No, you don't. So when you go out and grow food, your natural primal state, when you give love to your food, such as orange trees, right, it's proven on documents, and I gave you a lot of information about this, and there's tons of research on this. When you give it the right frequencies of love, which is loyalty, honor, respect, moral, inspiration, encouragement, they will grow with 10 times more fruit, with 10 times more nutrition value. 10 times more nutrition value. Today you consume all your food and products from 10 companies that's lost 90% nutrition value. So you're totally disconnected from life and the nature and things you're harmony with because of every decision you make in a marketing strategy and entertain yourself with everything negative in this world. Everything negative. And you're like 5-year-old children now who can only use 7% of your brain with a high IQ that makes you think you're very, very good at what you do, but you're not intelligent. For that very reason, you consume all the wrong products, all by design for 300 years of reverse psychology and a marketing strategy. Right? I know it's hardcore, but it gets worse than that. This is just the beginning. So Gilgamesh used an outside influence of reality from a parallel world also discovered by the CERN machine that has a personality with an outside influence from another dimension, another parallel world. They tell you that in the UFO disclosure all over the world. We don't know who they are, where they come from, because they disappear into space, outer space and inner space, and the space in between, right before our eyes and reappear. So we only begin to learn about different parallel worlds and different dimensions. That's warned in the book of Enoch, and some of us know about this because we go in and out of those dimensions and we use them to think with in the most positive fields. So most people are oblivious to this and think they know better, but they don't. They don't know any better because they have amnesia and they don't know any better. When they have amnesia, it means they don't know. Right? So they're stuck on a reincarnation trap and come back into a slavery system to use the same tools over and over and over. And that's the most hardcore thing to wake up to. But you see, the Freemasons in this world, okay, they're stuck here. And they use a reincarnation trap to come back with their progenitor genes, and they know who they are non-stop and keep molding these things. Right? That's how we know that Nimrod was resurrected as Osiris. And this you can keep going with the Persians, the Greeks, and the Roman days, and they started here today, and they're using the same books and the same manipulation with statistics, and exactly the same products with magic potions that are warned in the Bible. Exactly the same magic potions that are warned up in the Bible. Right? Exactly the same magic potions. But there's good and evil involved in this. That's what you've got to think about. Because let me tell you something. Methamphetamine is a truth serum. It shows you who you really are because you don't know who you are when you're not on meth. That's why people can't cope without drugs, because they need an electronic magnetic device. Either they need to take drugs, illicit or not, right? Or they need to take a drug delivery system with the same product. Right? Do you understand that? Because people's been taking it for more than 45 years. In fact, for 65 years. Ever since 1945, it was a happy pill, although more than 80% of the population was on it. And they thought it was a happy pill. They didn't think it was a drug. Right? In 1980, they brought in a law that pseudoephedrine was deemed to be dangerous. But methamphetamine wasn't. It went into the underground world. So they made 10 ton and sent it to Amsterdam and 10 ton to Florida every single month for 14 years straight. Okay, the 2 top scientists from NASA. Right? In a very big constructed plan because it's a truth serum. And they can identify people, right, when they're on the drug because they show who they are. That's how they created the kamikaze in 1895. When 84% of people took this drug, they found it as a love drug and became very loving and compassionate and made love. But 16% became very evil, and that's how they created the kamikaze, and they would do anything the voice tells them to in their mind. They would take their own life to take yours. That's how Hitler created his army. With special elite forces that has MBK that would kill when the voice tells them to and kill their own life to do so as well. And that's what they use today with the armies and the militaries right now. The same magnetic device, right? Methylbenzene ketone. Methylbenzene ketone, MBK, that Hitler created. So NASA put methamphetamine into the world when they deemed everything to be dangerous in 1980. And they sent 2 top scientists into Ormeau, Brisbane, Australia, and made 10 tonne to go to Florida and 10 tonne to Amsterdam for every month for 14 years straight, protected by all the governments. Then we got international pressure by Europe. International pressure by Europe. And we shut it down, right? They shut down these constructions all over the world. In Australia, with 170 programs, laws being implemented. Okay, 1994 for the Burris case. At that very moment, the science became very fragile, and we knew that Hitler had a plan, right, with methamphetamine to pump all over the world with 14 synthetic products in it. Synthetic products of opiates, right? They started with heroin. That's what fentanyl is today all over America and Canada. Fentanyl with zombies. It's methamphetamine with opiates in it. That's killing more than 150,000 people a year. And that's escalating and accelerating 7 times faster. I want you to consider that. Because what I'm about to tell you is very dramatic. I walked here in my life and I went into this, okay, and we took over the 2 top scientists from NASA when they were fragile, when these laws were implemented. When we did this, we discovered things about what they were doing was Hitler's plan. What they were doing was Hitler's plan to expose all these things and to put all these drugs into the underground all over the world. And the governments and authorities were on meth because they're on the happy pill. So something you've got to pay attention to that might be very dramatic for you to face is reality, because nobody can. Nobody can face this. And that's why it's very important you listen to every word I have to say here, because it's very dramatic, right? Very seriously dramatic. Here I am working with 2 top scientists from NASA, right? And the top scientists from NASA were working with an organisation that disarmed Australia in 1996 with a Martin Bryan buyback plan. I read every document of this. You don't believe that? On the front page of the 18th of January 2001 of the Brisbane Courier Mail in Queensland, I'm on the front page of the paper with Mince Brand and Charles Anthony Hurst. We got busted in the biggest trafficking case. On the front page there's a shipping container fully loaded with guns. In big black writing says these are the guns that disarmed Australia. 5 years later, the guns that the taxpayers paid for to be destroyed on the front page of the paper in our hands, there it is in black and white on the front page of the paper, right? They sold the guns to the underground world, and I was involved in this at the very highest level in the world. You need to listen and pay attention very carefully. I took over the 2 top scientists from NASA. We reversed their plan with an organic product made from mayhem, right? Methamphetamine made laboratory correct has no human side effects when it's made organically from mayhem, a plant called mayhem, made laboratory correct. We reversed their plan, and from 1996 we had the highest death toll from heroin cocaine, gang killing, right, and murders, right? We took over, right, and destroyed their plan, right, and reversed it. The Fitzgerald inquiry proves that the cops and politicians at the highest level were selling all the heroin that killed all their mates. Okay, so understand that. You can read that in the Fitzgerald inquiry. They were selling it at the top levels and killed all their mates. So when we knew what they were doing here and what they're doing with meth all over the world with something that was deemed to be dangerous and pseudoephedrine, right, and they were still doing this no matter what, we took over the assigners when this happened. Right? In 1994, we started to take over the assigners and infiltrated them, and that's when we only had amphetamine up till this moment. Then we brought out methamphetamine for the first time, crystal meth, for the first time in the underground world, in human history, on the underground world. Made clean and laboratory correct from organic products, because we took over the science and made it organically and reversed their plan. We took down the highest death toll from heroin cocaine, highest gang killing and violence from 1996 to 2004. You can read every statistic in the government. I was seen to be number 1 and the most wanted criminal and started the biggest first Star Chamber inquiry by the biggest think tank in the world. Parliament House, right? National Crime Authority and the Federal Police went to Parliament House in August 1998 to seek authority to unleash the biggest think tank. The biggest think tank is the ACA, the ACC, NSA, Pine Gap Area 51 Australia, the quantum computer, and the biggest think tank in the world. That's what I want you to pay attention to. I became the most wanted across Australia in the start of first Star Chamber inquiry. I took over this and became the most wanted within 3 years. Within 3 years into the Star Chamber inquiry. Because I reversed their plan and they didn't like it. They were filthy about it. But we took over their top science and reversed their plan. And that's what you got to understand, because statistics are there to prove it. From the highest death tolls gang killing in 1996 to the lowest by 2030 years. So we were seen as being the number 1 drug laws that changed the circumstances, and it's reported that we all worked together, and I was in charge of the 7 most powerful networks in Australia to do this. So I want you to listen very careful, because it's the truth, the real truth. This is the biggest think tank that recorded me as a mastermind, and I smart maneuvered them and everything and took over their signers and reversed their plan, right? So understand what's really unfolding here, Because I learned something from these top scientists that work with Hitler and work with ancient history from Gilgamesh about these magic potions and what they are. And they're a truth serum. They're a truth serum because we're not living in the truth psychologically and mentally and stripping our sixth sense and no longer human. That's declared by Jeremy Griffiths and the top bowlers in the biggest world transformation movement by 15,000 top scientists. The IPP scientists reports the primary problem of climate, we strip from our sixth sense and no longer human in post-human stage. So the evidence is right there that this is a fact, right? That the documents by Rockefeller in 1921 to strip you from your sixth sense was going to be executed by 221. And here we are today with this evidence, right? That's now 7 times worse by 2019 and accelerating 7 times faster, confirmed 3 months ago. There's the evidence stripped from our sixth sense of mental disorders going through the roof and the gene defects and our immune system collapsing all over the world. The libido is collapsing with a spike protein, and that spike protein has been coming into our system for a long time, right? Through all these magic potions, and we have 7,000 defective genes in every human being on earth. Only those that think instinctively can repair their genes. That's where this gets interesting. That's where this gets mighty interesting. Because those that think instinctively are repairing their genes in the immune system rather than the opposite. Rather than the opposite, because they have an electronic magnetic device that conducts them to a different field with an outside influence from the dimension where everything comes with sevenfold wisdom and knowledge, right, where you recreate the creation to conduct with yourself. The one that dies between 7 and 15. That's why satanic people want adrenochrome from children under 15, preferably under 7 where it's most potent, because they put you in reverse psychology so you can't create the molecules that repairs your genes and immune system, that accretion that conducts you to the most positive fields. So you go into an education, so you have a bush in your mind with an artificial insemination that controls you all the time from lower frequencies, and that's why everyone's negative in this world, and follow the voice in the mind when the government tells you to do so, and when the system tells you to do so, and when the occasion tells you to do so, you do so. On reverse psychology and strip from your sixth sense, and you go into massive extinction. You live to be younger every day without even realizing it. You consume all the wrong products, and that's why you chase your own tail and consume 7 times more than you need, because you only have 1 meal a day when you consume the right stuff. But when you're not getting the right conduction with the right molecules and eating all the wrong products, you keep chasing your own tail and want more and more and more. And you want more of everything. You want to buy more, you want to buy more of everything, and it's great for consumption, right? And great for consumption, and thinking instinctively, psychologically, and to be competitive, be selfish, egotistical. Because that's all the tools that everybody uses in the world. They can't use their moral instincts because they haven't got any. They can't think instinctively only 1 to 5% of the time. They think psychologically and mentally and feed into the same market strategy, and they're stuck in amnesia and don't know who they are. Now that's dramatic, but that's why the Bible says you're going to wish we did for 1,000 years if you don't wake up, because nobody dies. It was all by design. So right now in the whole world, I want you to understand something. We reversed their plan. And you still didn't believe in it? No, you didn't. You didn't believe in anything that I've been telling you. And I wrote it in my book in 2004 when they stopped that as well, to expose all the things they were doing. So they stopped that book as well. But let me tell you something, okay? And it's very important you really do get with the grips here. I go to jail on corruption for 10 years. Okay, I'm the first human being on earth in the biggest mental health research ever conducted when they tried to find the cure of the human condition that everyone suffers from. In 2008 in prison, I went into the biggest mental health research with Jeremy Griffiths and the top bowlers in the whole world and brought the cure of the human condition to humanity and how to repair your genes and how to go in a time where time stands still and preserve lives with the molecules of preserved lives in cellular study. The cellular study's been taken out by Bruce Lipton, Dr. Bruce Lipton, that tells you we're programmed to think too much and we can repair our genes. We can even repair cancer by thinking instinctively. Right? Go into this research with Dr. Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza to reverse aging, and you'll understand the tools I use. Because I brought this to humanity in 2008 with Jeremy Griffiths and the top bowlers and primarily from the climate. So we have a cure for all this. We have a cure for all this when you think instinctively and don't think mentally. And that's what they can't teach you. Because they can't think instinctively, they can use the tools they're designed with. That's what's so ironic here. I'm the only person that knows the restoration humanity to get back in the promotes to use these tools. And that's what you have to pay attention to. Right? I've been declared dead 3 times. I created miracles in hospital. I was told I was powerless from my neck down, could never walk again. I walked down to hospital 45 minutes later. All recorded on documents. Every single thing. Now, pay attention. I go to jail for 10 years. I bring the cure of the human condition humanity in the biggest mental health research ever conducted in global history. I come out of jail and I realize there are products all over the world with synthetic opiates in it. The very Hitler's plan that we stopped and we reversed in 2000. Then I get out of jail in 2010 and I realize that this ice and amphetamine with all these products are all the way around the world in the underground world. So we go into another operation against the system, no matter what the fuck they think. Okay, and we expose this. We get all the products from the underground world, and in the underground world, we discover there are 14 different products with synthetic opiates, and Hitler's plan. Hitler made 14. 14 products with synthetic opiates, and we found every single one of them, all 14, unfolding. Now, we took this to a proper biologist and research centre, and it went on Channel 7 News on mainstream media in Australia. On mainstream media in 2014, they exposed there are 14 products of synthetic opiates and meth in the underground, synthetic meth with synthetic opiates in the underground world. Now, this was the things I spoke about and wrote in my book in 2004. What they were really doing to the world here. Hitler's plan. Harari tells you that straight to your face with mRNA technology, that they have divine power, creation, and destruction. And they're going to create Hitler's plan because it's Hitler's plan. This is what I'm saying to you. I knew this all the way along. Okay, I knew this all the way along. Listen carefully. Listen very carefully. This caused a disturbance in Australia in such a way that the Prime Minister of Australia called for a mandatory urine test all over Australia. He started to know what's going on for different things I can't expose here. Involved with Chief Justice Jersey, the biggest judge on the bench in Australia. A lot of things happen here. So they did a mandatory urine test in Australia on all the governments, defence force and the authorities. And in early 2016 exposed on every mainstream media, and people saw this from all over the world that I'm in contact with. So believe me, people saw this from the other end of the world, all the way up in the Nordic, that remembers this clearly. On world stage media on every channel. What did Tony Abbott say? Tony Abbott said, we have to break the forbidden code and admit that we're being feeded by drugs because we can only catch 5% and 95% is controlled by the system, the governments and authorities. The government authorities and the defence force was 57% positive to supermeth, the one Hitler created. And 75% of them admitted to using it. He exposed the fact that it came from Mexico and all the way America, all the way around through the Nordic with amphetamine, and all the way through Asia through Shabu. He said it's coming from every single channel, and it's in every single civilization, and they have the same statistical rates because it was a happy pill that Hitler created, and 80% of the population was on it in 1980. When they exposed this, and they went into the underworld for 10 years, and sent 10 ton to Amsterdam and 10 ton to Florida for 10 years, when they shut that down in 1994, ADHD medication went up 36 times. And it's been escalating non-stop, and so is the production of meth all over the world. In Mexico, Mexico's got a contract for taking all the pseudoephedrine in waste disposal from 7 major companies in the world. In those companies, what they put in it is they put opiates inside the pseudoephedrine. Then Mexico takes it to Mexico and they produce 3,300 ton a year. And they've got patents and a universal law to take this, so it's set up and designed by the whole system. By the whole system. With mRNA technology and electronic magnetic device. That's in every single thing in the world today. And people conduct to those fields and using those devices with high IQ and psychological mental behavior, they have defected genes and going into massive extinction all over the world. And it's accelerating 7 times faster, and it's going to accelerate that fast, you have no idea. We're already seeing in Bifido bacteria collapsing all over the world, with scientists exposing this everywhere. That the immune system completely collapsing. And our primal state, our immune system is 27 times more powerful than any vaccination. These are facts. But you're not in your primal state. Therefore, you can't repair your genes down your immune system because you can't create the Christ oil, right? The adrenochrome that the satanic people make you, that they take from children, right? They get high on because it's that high on your own supply. It's higher than anything you've ever felt in your life. That gives you the power and the accretion when you conduct with the right molecules, organically and naturally. That's why we educate the We're Not Breathing program, where you create the accretion, right, with ice cold showers, and study the We're Not Breathing program and do it carefully for 30 days and alter everything you consume, right? World Transformation Movement with Jeremy Gibbs, the top bowlers in the world today, wrote the book Freedom to Cure the Human Condition in Humanity. It's what's going to save humanity. It's the only thing that's going to save humanity. If you don't get out of the mindset you're in and go back to your primal state to think instinctively, you will not tune out of the program. You will go into massive extinction with a different dimension, with the voices in your mind that controls you all the time. That's when you've got to pay attention to. I know it's hardcore shit, right? But you've got to understand this. Okay, I'm not taking sides on this or recommending it because we do this organically and naturally with the We're Not Breathing program. He's won a Nobel Prize and he was chosen for this. And Jeremy Griffiths wrote the book Freedom, studied human condition and Plato, the greatest philosopher of all time, for 45 years from the days of Noah. And why people didn't suffer the human condition was because they think mentally and psychologically all the time. And that's what happens when Moses takes the 40,000 Israelites out of Egypt, and he takes them across to the desert into a desert. And it takes them 40 years to bring them back to the moral state to think instinctively, and it turns into paradise because they know how to communicate with nature and life and the things we're in harmony with. Right? They suppress these things, but that's what happened when Babylon collapsed. That's what happened to Pharaoh's collapsed, the Persian, the Greeks, and again in the Roman days. Because Romans collapsed the same way, from the same mental disorders all over the world, where everybody went into extinction. Most people aren't even aware of this. Every single time these cataclysmic events, the whole population went into extinction. Nearly all of them, except for those that was thinking instinctively. They tuned out. And the pharaohs used the same magnetic device with magic potions because they designed people in reverse psychology in a slavery system so they don't know who they are, and then they give them monarchies to conduct with so they've got enough power to work for them. But you have more power than that. It's stripped from you. When you think instinctively, you have 99% more power, and that's what we're going to with Dr. Bruce Lipman in cellular study research and everything in DNA evidence done. Right? We're thinking in the wrong mindset and programmed to be in a slavery system and stuck in a reincarnation trap where we don't know our tools. Right? And these are facts. The reincarnation trap, John the Baptist came back as Elijah. Jesus broke free from amnesia and didn't know who he was, which is a boy like you and me, using the same psychological tools, and didn't know who he was or why he was here. But then he broke free and was educated specifically by a Shulam mastermind with the 8 tools of righteousness. Then he broke free from amnesia and discovered he wasn't using progenitor genes in his bloodline biologically, and knew his tools and which bloodline he come from, because then he woke up and remembered dimensionally with a universal language. And then he taught 12 disciples to break free from amnesia over 7 years of cycle of life so they could do what he can and more. And some of us can do that. But most of us can't because we're inverted. Right now, no matter what's going on, let me tell you something. No weapon formed against you can prosper. Not even an electronic magnetic device, because it'll repair your genes, DNA, and immune system when you think instinctively and not think mentally. That's the one thing you're not aware of. Now, I don't agree with what's going on because we show this organically and organically with your natural organic motor skills. But this is what's happening all over the world. The devil possesses every person in the world, and it's reported in the CERN machine. And Elon Musk says there's something in the beast because they are. Harari, right, the architect for the WF, Klaus Schwab himself, the CEO, and the CEO for quantum computer, right, owned by Google, they all say the same thing. They have divine power, creation, destruction, and Jesus is over, Christ is over. And then they stand there and they build a CERN machine to open up these portals with another dimension to conduct with. Right? With what? With manna. With manna, the God particle. Right? The God particle you're not understanding because it's in your pineal gland. You create adrenochrome. You create the graphene oxide to conduct with in the positive fields when you think instinctively. But when you don't think instinctively and you think mentally and come to all your conclusions with reasoning in psycho programs and every tool that you use, you'll never wake up. You'll never break free from amnesia and discover who you really are, why you're here, what the meaning of life is. Because believe me, everyone's going to wish they were dead because they're going to go in reincarnation trap and they're going to wish they were dead for 1,000 years. And those that wakes up will wake up from the reincarnation trap and go into a new timeline with 7-fold wisdom knowledge to live with the tree of life. We're a tree of life. You go in a time where time stands still, life preserves, everything is perfect. No more pain, stress and fear. In a time where time stands still and life preserves, while the rest of the world stays in this dimension, right, and hangs on to the world psychologically and mentally and goes into massive extinction. Believe me, when you understand, right now in the experiment, we're seeing cancer that's already gone to recession coming back 7 times faster. We're seeing heart attacks coming 7 times faster. We're seeing diseases from every single angle coming 7 times faster. That means everything negative is accelerating 7 times faster. We're seeing the biological genes falling apart in human beings all over the world with the placebo effect. They got no placebo effect. None whatsoever. So understand this. Their libido in their bacteria in their stomach is collapsing. Their immunity system. It's on documents all over the world. So it's whatever mindset you're in, whatever you feed yourself, and whatever wolf you feed. Are you psychological? Because 99% of people are psychological and 93% is declared beyond the point of return because they can't think outside the mind with their 6th sense, with their natural organic motor skills. And that, my friend, is what the truth is. And when you put every single piece together, you will realize this was created from Babylon. This is how the beast takes over the world through everybody's mind and controls the mind. And everyone's controlled by the devil right now. Believe it or not, you go and see every research, you'll see that I'm the only person that knows what they're doing. Right? With electronic magnetic device, and they have the divine power, creation, and destruction. Okay? And they use different influences to their reality that gives them that power. And I know that power because I'm given that power. God gives us that power. Remember this, because believe me, when you do your research, you'll find that every single thing I'm telling you is right smack bang on the money, and no scientist in the world knows this, but the devil's possessing the planet, and he came over with darkness in 2020, and you felt it, and you saw how people behaved all over the world. The ones that's only got a personality as they conduct an electronic magnetic device. And you have moral instincts that they don't have. So think instinctively and tune out of the program. No weapon formed against you can prosper. But you must go back in your primal state to think instinctively. And it's not easy. It's not easy. Don't think for 1 minute you just need information to do this. You got to exercise yourself. And you got to go back in your primal state. And you got to do a lot of research. And you got to do a lot of activation to go back there to think instinctively and not mentally. To tune out of the program. That's the only way that's going to get you out of this.